Game started.
Donald 6909. Okay, well I think it's time for me to start with C4. Okay, there we go. Oh, I must have lag. No, okay, I was just giving him some grace there. Let's play G3. Setting up for the fianchetto, control the light squares here. And maybe going for a Botvinnik setup. I've played that a lot of times with good success. Yeah, like here. Just put that pawn on e4, see if you can slow down discourage d5 there, and he can place his knight there, that's true. So knight here. Yeah, that's often the way I play it, is with some kind of symmetrical response like this. But he wasted a tempo because he went from e6 to e5. So it took him 2 moves to get his pawn to e5 there. So maybe I have a little something. I need to develop this bishop. And I'm not getting the move. I'm not getting the move d4 in one go, so I might as well play d3. And what I thought here was that I could play f3. Let's think about it. He's got 2 attackers. Bishop takes, bishop takes. I think I can still play f3. I may want to play f4 at some time and kind of open things up, but not at the moment. It's more important to kick that bishop back and free up this knight to take off his knight. Which, I think maybe I'll do that now. Let's take his knight and see which way he takes back, which pawn he takes with. I'm expecting him to take with the c pawn. Okay, he did. It kind of gives up the center a little bit if he takes with the e pawn. And then I'll put my knight there. And so he kind of inflicted a little bit of time loss on me, because now it'll take me another move to get my pawn to f4 to try and undermine his setup and open things up. But he still hasn't castled, so I think I still have some kind of edge in development if I can exploit it. Maybe knight to c7 if I can arrange it. Would be interesting, but I need support on the c file. Looks like he's preparing for kingside castling. If I play f4 now, he can bring his bishop right back to g4 there. I can also expand on the queenside. Maybe even bishop to a3 is an idea. So let's get those moves in. Reserve this f4 idea for later. Okay, so he takes. Now, do I want to take with the e file and e pawn? That would lead to an interesting kind of asymmetry here, and it would leave this backwards c pawn. And it would give him some chances to push on with his e-pawn. So that's a double-edged decision. Safer just to take with the c-pawn and play rook to c1 and trade off. But I thought that might be interesting. Okay, that's not under, that's defended by the queen, so it's not under fire. If I play pawn to c5 immediately, he takes, I take, and then I have this kind of dangerous-looking pawn duo here. But, oh, no, he's got the bishop and the rook on it. So I need another piece here before I can get in that c5 push. And he stops me. Okay. He did stop me. I can push a5. Try and create some kind of weakness there, but I guess he just takes. Yep. He didn't take. He probably should have taken. Probably should have. Okay, let's lift my queen up, so at least I don't lose a pawn. I mean, he could have won a pawn that way, although I could have played, if he took, I could have played b5 and tried to go after the double a-pawns, maybe round them up. That's another interesting way to prevent me from pushing this pawn forward. If I push the c pawn forward, the d pawn hangs. Okay, we will take here. And if I bring this rook back to the a file, I'm just a little worried about that bishop being loose over there, but maybe it's not a problem. If I lift the rook so I can double, it still seems kind of slow. Okay, put the rook on the e file. That's a reasonable place for it. Yeah, so he does hit my bishop. Okay, so let's... Let's defend now. I didn't want to move the rook away from the c file while his rook was on the c file. It seemed a bit risky to me. So, well, Donald seems to be playing this game pretty well. Sometimes, you know, it's easy to get sucked in by the rating. You say, oh, I'm 200 points higher than him, I should win easily, and it just doesn't happen. I don't know why, but that's the way it goes. Okay, well, stopping to think here. Both have time, 5 and some odd minutes, so it's fine. So he brings his queen back, defending the second rank, and this pawn is loose, but I don't see any great way to exploit that. I was thinking, well, he's taken his eye off of the d pawn, so maybe I push the e pawn forward here. Takes, takes, takes. Pawn takes. What happens if I push the f pawn forward and he advances? I'll take with the rook and put pressure on this pawn. And if he doesn't advance, then I will trade here and get myself an extra, or a passed pawn. Also, that opens up ideas of pushing this pawn forward. He goes after the bishop. But that loses a pawn, doesn't it? And also gives me this passed pawn. But, well, the bishop is dangerous on this diagonal, so understandable decision, but maybe there was something better. Probably something better. So he brings his queen in. I thought he should take. Since he didn't take, well, I could lift my rook. The queen has no squares on this diagonal. I can go back. So I just think I'm rounding up another pawn. I'm winning this. I'm already one pawn up, and I think I'm rounding up another pawn. So the center kind of fell apart in my favor here. It seems. Never know. go ahead and take here, see how he takes back. And go after that d pawn. This bishop is hitting here and here, and my bishop is hitting his d pawn, and it will hit the b pawn. My king position is exposed. That's the downside of what I've done. But it seemed to pay off. Seemed like sometimes you have to take those chances, I guess. That's funny. If the rook weren't here, he could play bishop to f. No, he still couldn't. I was going to say he could hit my queen because of the pin, but my queen could just take the bishop. So that's not happening. Bishop to b4 would distract my queen. So if there's a situation where my queen is needed for defense, that could be a problem. Okay, so he's lining up on the, he's defending the pawn, but I can still take it, and he's lining up on the f file. But the queen has no support on the f file, so I think I can just take that pawn. And then maybe line up on the e file and just force a trade of rooks here. Go into this endgame a little more secure. With the less force there is on the board, the more secure my position is. Yeah, so queen to, let's think about it. If I could force a trade of queens with queen f2, but he can just run away. I can't force that. So if I go here, that gives up the b pawn, so he can take the b pawn. I mean, I still have this 3-1 over here, and okay, he went that way. Let's push the pawn forward. So pawn here, pawn takes, the bishop has to move, and then I can push this pawn forward one more step. I think I can kind of inch forward with these pawns. Yeah, this opens up the e7 square for my rook too. After the bishop drops back, I can play this, and then I've got rook to e7 to chase his queen away. Yeah, I think those pawns are too dangerous at this point. Oh, he defends with the bishop. That's interesting. So I have queen here, threatening to trade queens and threatening mate on g7. And I don't see any checks. So he can pin my rook here, or he can trade queens. So this should be a winning endgame. Let's hope I don't blow it. Okay, gives his king a little lift. But these pawns are dangerous, right? Oh, he's just sacrificing a piece. Okay. Bishop and rook against rook. And the pawns are even, so I'm piece up. Let's find some way to get this passer going. I have a passed pawn. Maybe here. Maybe I should have challenged his rook instead of putting the rook in front of the pawn. That was kind of silly. I was planning to give a check, and but that doesn't seem to help a whole lot, that check. Well, his king moved forward, and I didn't even have the check. I mean, I was going to use that check to get my rook in front. all the way down and then start pushing this pawn. But, well, as they say, the rook is better off behind the passed pawn anyway. That's interesting. His king is kind of in the way. And my bishop is kind of not doing a whole lot.
Check.
Just thinking this check here might be dangerous. Oh no, let's drive his king back
Check.
first. Shouldn't I? Shouldn't I drive his king back first? And this pawn forward. I want to give up all my pawns because rook and bishop versus rook is also one of those theoretical draws. I need to somehow come out of this with my pawn
Check.
intact. Okay. So maybe, well, let's start this pawn going. Inch by inch, we'll step forward. Yeah, he's pinning my bishop. If he checks, I can step all the way forward. He doesn't have the check on F. Well, let's block this way. I'm going after the F pawn now. So there is a tactic. Say I take the pawn. He takes my bishop. Oh, he moved his king. He just gave up the pawn. If he left his king there, I could give up the bishop and the rook for his rook and have an extra pawn. But now I just have an extra pawn. And soon to be 2 extra pawns. So if I don't run out of time, I should win this. Okay, he can check from behind. What's the best way to do it? Step the king in front of the pawn, I guess.
Check.
To help it come forward. Also, I have a check with my rook on the 7th rank here, defended by the bishop. Let's make sure my bishop is defended. Okay, so let's give the check. And let's step aside with the king so the pawn can come forward. And I'm holding this pawn in reserve. This will be a source of tempos if I need it. And if I blunder and lose this pawn, or if he sacks the rook for this pawn, I'll have this pawn to win with. Yeah, so now he can do that trick. He can take
Check.
the rook, take the bishop with his rook, and but this is a winning endgame. When your king goes in front of the pawn, it's pretty much all over. Don't even need the extra pawn.
Check.
Okay, so you seal his king off. Bring your king up. And play here so that wherever he goes you can check and drive him to the back rank, or the side rank in this case, the side file.
Check.
And then you go here, and wherever he goes, it's mate on the next move. There was only one move anyway.
Checkmate.
Okay, good game. I'll upload this and do a post-mortem. See you guys later. Bye.